Every time you type something into an AI, money moves. Real money to real companies in a chain almost nobody sees. By the end of this video, you'll know who gets paid, who takes the biggest cut, and why your AI bill only ever goes up, and what the people quietly cutting that bill in half are doing differently. I run marketing at an AI infrastructure company, so I stare at this chain every single day. So today, let's follow the money and get right into it. First things first, the part everyone get backwards. When you pay for AI, you think you're paying for intelligence. However, you're mostly paying for electricity and hardware. A model answering you is on a graphics card running billions of calculations, burning power in a building somewhere. The clever part, the model itself, is close to free to copy once it exists. The running of it millions of times a day is what costs a fortune. So the price of AI isn't really about how smart it is. It's about who owns the machines it runs on and how much they decide to charge you to borrow them. So here's the chain, top to bottom. It starts with the chips. Almost every single AI model on earth runs on GPUs made by basically one company, Nvidia. They're so far ahead that they can charge close to whatever they want, which they do. Their profit margins on these chips are enormous. That's cut number one, and it's the biggest. Those chips go into giant data centers. Most AI companies don't build their own. That costs billions. So they rent space and power from a handful of cloud giants, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. That's cut number two. On top of that sit the model companies. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google again. They run the compute, run the models, and sell you access through an API. A little tap you call to get answers. That's cut number three. And then there's you, the founder or the marketer, building something on top of all of it. You sit at the very end of the chain, paying for every layer above you, plus each one's profit margin stacked on top of the last. By the time the bill reaches you, it's carried 4 sets of mouths to feed. Now, here's the part that messes people up, because a lot of AI feels suspiciously cheap today. $20 a month for something that writes, codes, and reasons. How, you may ask? The answer is, most of it is just subsidized. The big companies are burning enormous piles of investor money to win you as a customer before their rivals do. The price you see isn't the real cost of running the thing. It's a discount paid for by venture capital to get you hooked and dependent. You've seen this movie before. Cheap rides, cheap food delivery, cheap streaming, all lovely until the funding pressure hits and prices quietly climb. And running these models is genuinely brutally expensive. That real cost doesn't disappear, it waits. So the moment a provider needs the math to actually work, your prices move, your limits change, and you get no say in any of it. Because again, you don't control a single link in that chain above you. So let's zoom out and see the actual issue here. The most important technology of our era runs through a tiny number of companies, each taking a cut, each setting prices and rules you cannot negotiate. If you've built a business on top, here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't fully own it. Your costs, your margins, even what you're allowed to build are all decided by suppliers you can control and can't replace overnight. You're renting your own product from your own supply chain. One pricing email, one policy change, one rate limit, and your business changes shape that afternoon. That's a fragile place to build anything serious on top of. But something genuinely changed in the last year, and it's the most hopeful part of this whole story. Open source models finally caught up. Back in early 2025, a Chinese lab released a model called DeepSeek R1 and shocked everyone, because a relatively small team produced something near the top labs for a fraction of the cost, and they just gave it away. Anyone could download it and run it themselves. Since then, it's been a wave. Qwen, Kimi, GLM, more every few months. In 2026, open source models are close to the closed ones on most everyday tasks. And why does that matter for your bill? Because the intelligence layer, cut number 3, the part you were paying a premium API for, is becoming something you can get for free. The model stops being the expensive, scarce thing. People in the industry literally call it a buyer's market now. The model just isn't the differentiator anymore. So if the model is basically free, the cost that's left is the compute, the chips and the data centers. That's cuts 1 and 2. And that's where the last piece comes in. Fair warning, this is the part I'm biased on. I work in it, so weigh it yourself. Instead of renting compute from a few giants, you can run these open source models on decentralized compute. The plain version is, instead of one company's data center, the GPUs come from thousands of independent people around the world, all plugged into one network, competing to run your job at the lowest price. More supply, more competition, lower cost for the person at the end of the chain, which is you. The network that coordinates all of this is called Bittensor, and the company I work for, Chutes, is one way to actually use it without being technical. And I'm not going to oversell it. It's newer, it's rougher in prices, and it doesn't replace everything today. For some workloads, you'll still want the big closed providers, and that's honestly fine. But the direction is the thing. Anything that adds real competition to a supply chain this concentrated is good for you, the person which is obviously paying for all of it. That's true whether you ever touch my company or not. So what do you do with all of that? 4 things, and none of them require ripping anything out tomorrow. 1. Know your real cost per user. If you can't say what AI costs you per customer, you can't survive a price change, and you can't price your own product properly. 2. Stop running everything through your most expensive model. Move the easy tasks, the summaries, the drafts, the formatting. That alone can cut a bill in half. 3. Test one open source model on one feature that isn't critical, just to see the cost and quality with your own eyes instead of taking anyone's word for it, including mine. 4. Stop treating any one provider as permanent. Treat it as a supplier you could replace, because the people who will be fine in 2 years are the one who built that option in early. So just to wrap everything up, you don't have to leave the big providers, honestly. You just have to stop being at their mercy. If you want the parts of the AI business that don't make it into the hype, the cost, the supply chain, the stuff that decides who actually wins, subscribe. That's what I do here. And I'm genuinely curious. Drop your rough monthly AI bills into the comments. I just want to see in which range most people are actually in, and I'll try to reply to as many as I can. By the way, I'm also going to be dropping a Chutes guide in the link down below, so maybe just go through it, try it out, and let me know what you think of that as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for joining. Bye.